All right, everybody. Welcome back to episode 5 of Brothers on the Green. Of course, we got PGA Tour Pro Dice and myself. We appreciate everyone for coming back to another episode. We got some good news. We got back-to-back winners now from Dice.
Beautiful.
Minwoo Lee last week. What were those odds?
He was 40 to 1. Yeah, 40 to 1, and then Hovland the week before is 80 to 1.
Yeah, so two great winners back-to-back weeks.
Yeah.
We're getting hot at the right time, as they say. Another couple nice top 20 winners as well. We had Toasty plus 700, Gerard
Mhm.
plus 330, and Ryan Fox as well. So very profitable to start. We're
Yep.
throwing some names out there that are playing good golf and getting themselves where they need to be. I mean, Minwoo played great all week last week. That course was made for him. I mean,
Oh,
to a
he was
T.
he was cruising plus 190 literally all week, like not giving any care in the world in terms of like where the ball was going. As long as he got it out there as far as he can, that was really all he was looking for. It seemed like every tee shot he had the driver in hand.
Yeah, and like 189, 190 is like his stock swing.
Yeah, and then you saw like I thought the one mistake was I tweeted it out as well, but when he went 194 on 16 up like three strokes on a shorter par five, that's more like, situational golf, sort of tone it back a little bit, get it in the fairway, and you'll still have, 190 into that hole. So that was probably a bit silly, but again, the course was just so perfect for him, like you said, and it was a great week for us. A couple top 20s, mid-move back to back, getting hot at the right time, head into Augusta.
Yeah, I mean, I think he should honestly be a pretty solid fit for Augusta.
Yeah.
There's more. It's more penal when you miss the fairways, but the fairways are wide, right? He's a phenomenal chipper and putter, so he should give himself plenty of opportunities there as well, and
Yeah.
give himself a nice major finish.
I know. I was listening to that. You sent me the Masters like live. They went on like the Spaces on X yesterday, and I heard Ash K. They're asking about like that lefty advantage. Do you give any like real play into that with just how many right to left shots you have to hit and how often people are cutting it instead of drawing it as a righty?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's fair, right? There are a lot of tee shots that favor a right to left shot shape. A few of them they've extended the tees where it's not as much of an advantage anymore.
Yeah.
Uh, but it's not make or break, right?
No, of course. Yeah.
Bubba's played great there. Phil's played great there. So,
Yeah.
there definitely is something to that.
Yeah.
But,
Not the
I'd
obviously not
say,
the end of the world. Yeah, of course.
and then you got a couple, Minwoo can hit a comfortable draw. I mean, he does like to cut it to get some more spin on it, keep it in
Yeah.
control. That's Cantley's played well there, right? He can hit it right to left off the tee.
Yep.
Uh,
Xander can I feel like.
Definitely, Xander can hit it right to left off the tee. So it makes it a little more simple,
Hmm.
to be able to do that. But it's not make or break. You got to just be
Yeah.
playing well throughout the bag.
I agree. Yeah, obviously, it's just a matter of it seems like it's always you got to be hot going into Augusta. It's not going to be a course that you're going to find it, but again, we'll probably get into some more Augusta stuff later, and then we could we want to talk about Rory and Scotty a little bit, just like
Yeah,
their
they're
form and just sort of how they've been playing. So I think Rory's definitely peaking at the right time. I don't think he's been playing like this well for this long for a pretty long time now, probably going a couple years back with how consistent his game feels. I feel it's just more so a matter of like, can he get through that mental block that's probably built up heading into, the Masters with how everybody talks about it. Like, he's changing his schedule in the early in the season to try get a different feel heading into it. It's just been a different thing every year. So I feel like this year's probably the year where he really gives himself a good chance, but I feel like it's probably more a matter of how does his mental hold up heading into, that first round and the start he gets off to.
100%. I mean, we know physically you can do it. The
Hmm.
one thing about being, a draw player, and Brandel Chambly talks about it a lot, you get a lot of hanging right to left lies at Augusta. And
Yep.
Rory's gotten much better at, chipping irons and being able to hold them off.
Yep.
So that's going to give him a much better chance of putting up some consistent rounds
I
throughout the
agree.
week, right? Especially if it gets windy, it gets firm, right? You got to be able to shape your irons both ways at Augusta.
Hmm.
Scotty, Scotty's playing fine.
I
He's
know.
obviously not what he was last year right now,
Exactly.
but no one is, right? Only Tiger did that, playing that consistent of golf for a period of time.
Yeah.
Scotty's still giving himself chances, right? And I think in his mind, he probably feels very good now heading into Augusta, making that run late last week.
Yep,
You know,
exactly.
he's Scotty, so I think we're heading for a two-man race, hopefully, right? If Rory and Scotty
Oh,
can battle each other on Sunday,
that's everybody's dream.
phenomenal. Yeah,
That's everybody's dream. That's obviously the media and all like the CBS's dream, but I just think if they, because I mean, the last time they did that, what was that the FedEx when Rory stole that the FedEx in
yeah.
22, like Scotty's first dominant year. But that would be, so epic if Rory and Scotty could actually be head to head coming down the stretch at the Masters in a couple weeks.
Last story from last week that we should talk about. Gary, nice to see Gary Woodland play well.
Yeah, that was
He
great.
he's so fun to watch when he's hitting the ball the way he was when he's
His
flushing it.
club pro
Oh, the
on
club
18.
twirl,
Oh,
the lag that he produces in his swing, and just how flush he can hit his irons.
he's deep.
Fun to watch. Oh, he's nuclear. Yeah,
He's
he's
nuclear.
nuclear. So that was nice to see. He's turning it around.
Yep.
For him, it really has always been about his putter.
Yep.
He's been very inconsistent at best for most of his career with that club. But if he's putting it well, I mean, like you saw last week, he can get himself up there. And he bogeyed the friggin' drivable par four on the back nine, Gary, too, last week,
Oh, I know that was disgusting.
which was terrible.
That
Um,
was like all those holes. Like that was a pretty good, like drivable par four. Where it's like if you didn't actually get it right in front or on the green, like those chips weren't like
no, they were
simple,
tough. Yeah.
straightforward. Yeah, very elevated green. So it's either coming down from the left or up from the right, which for the most part you saw. So I mean that was a pretty difficult. But yeah, it's just could if it doesn't bogey that obviously probably makes a bit of a better run, but definitely good to see him playing well and competing again at this point.
Yep, it was a great weekend of golf. I mean, when Minwoo looked like he was gonna run away with it, he didn't really
Yeah,
go too deep on Sunday, obviously, and then you got guys like Gary and Scotty that really played some great golf on Sunday.
go ahead.
This week is the Valero, right? This is a course you got some more data on, right? I believe this is the 15th year that they've played here. And it's supposed to be a windy week, so I can see it playing pretty tough. It's much tighter than last week, right? There's definitely some more penalties off the tee if you're not striking your driver well.
Yep.
And it's a course that doesn't really give you much. It's 7,500. The par fives are handleable. You can make some good
Yeah.
scores up on the par fives. I think they have one short par four in there somewhere that's drivable. But it's a solid golf course. It's a good Texas golf course that I think should lead to a pretty good leaderboard that's tightly packed.
Yeah, it seems like just looking back at some of these leaderboards, it seems like there's always like the bulk of the pack is like probably like a couple strokes off, like two or three guys really at the top that are competing that week. I don't really know if there's really anything to that, but obviously last year you had Bhatia and McCarthy at 20 under, and then third place was Rory at 11 under. So I mean, big disparity there. And that I remember last year, Denny made like I think he shot 8 under on the back nine
Yeah.
to come back in time, and Ashke still had to make like a 15, 20 footer to force a playoff at that point. I remember that was crazy.
Yeah, no, that was a great event. And then Denny McCarthy chunked his wedge into the water in the
Into the
playoff.
water on 18. And Ashke freaking had his shoulder pop out
Yeah.
on his celebration in regulation. That was pretty good.
So this is a tournament. We'll go through the odds again, right? We'll talk
Yeah,
about it's a top heavy field, right? You got some of the top players in the world playing, and then there's a bunch of, middle of the pack PGA Tour guys that are in the field as well that should give themselves a decent chance to win. And again, this is the last chance to get into Augusta, right? I think we
exactly.
saw there was a stat like 8 of the last 9 winners in this event got themselves
Warren
into
and Augusta.
Augusta, yeah, with the
Yeah.
win. So they weren't already qualified. They weren't top 50 players. They weren't in the
Mhm.
tour championship. So they're guys that can make a name for themselves this week and really elevate their career to another level.
Yeah. It seems like this is not seems like, but this is you have to win to get into the Masters, right? There's no like maybe top five to move up in a world
No,
ranking.
it's
That
just
got off
win.
last week. Yeah.
Yep. The world rankings are locked in. This is the last chance to get in. Only the winner of
Yeah.
this event gets in.
It's amazing. Cam wouldn't be in if he didn't have like a top, what was it, like 15 finish last year or whatever that qualifying is.
Yeah, and I think he was probably top 50 in the world at the end of the calendar year.
Oh, so it's calendar year too.
Yeah, it's the calendar year, and then anyone that gets themselves into the top 50
Yeah.
by the end of last week.
Okay.
So
Yeah,
it's
'cause
usually
he's
only a
down to
couple guys.
60 now. He's like down to somewhere in the 60s now.
Yeah, he should be unranked.
Yeah, whatever. No reason to talk about Cameron Young right now. But like you said, let's get into the odds board a little bit. Go over like the top of the board. Then obviously go over a couple guys that stuck out to us and who will be on this week. But for the top of the board, just to go over the guys in like the up until like the 35 to 1 range, we got Ludwig as the favorite, 12 to 1, Corey Connors 16 to 1, Tommy Fleetwood 16 to 1. Again, always at the top of the board, but hasn't produced a single win on the PGA Tour yet, so always mind-boggling to see where his odds are.
Mm,
Patrick Cantley plus 1800, 18 to 1. Then you got Spieth 22 to 1, Hideki 22 to 1. Keegan 25 to 1, Ashk 25 to 1, Denny 30 to 1, Siwoo Kim 35 to 1, and Daniel Berger 35 to 1.
yeah, it's like I said, it's a wide range of names there that.
Yeah, it's a quality field. It's honestly a lot of very good players, obviously.
Yeah, and these are guys that, some of them are here to prep for Augusta,
Hmm.
but really, if you're here, you're not prepping certain shots or anything. You're here to win, in my mind, because you're trying to get competitive rust off if you haven't played in a
Yeah.
few weeks, and you want to play all four rounds. And once any of these guys get into contention,
You're not thinking about the next week. You're thinking
no,
about winning right there.
their main goal is to get a win 100%.
Exactly. But anybody stick out to you in that range that you like for this week?
Yeah, for some reason I like Cantley right now, or for this week. I also probably will, have some interest in him next week as well. Even
Yeah.
though he's never won a major, but he's due. He's playing decent golf.
Yeah.
Really his putting has been pretty disappointing or pretty lackluster for
Yeah.
Cantley because he used to be such an elite putter. But he's a good driver of the golf ball, solid iron player when he's striking it. And then if the putter gets hot, I could really see him not pulling away, but giving himself a really good
Yeah.
chance to win in this field. So I like Cantley. Hideki has good history here.
Hmm.
He started off the season unbelievable, right in Hawaii. Was like 35 under par in that event. Didn't miss a putt.
That was absurd.
He's been a little more inconsistent as of late in terms of
Mhm.
right just consistency of strike, his driver, his irons, the putter. He's on like his fourth putter of the year, so he's a head case. He always has been. He travels with like 30 putters, but he's a guy that if he's playing well, he's tough to
He's
beat.
a
So,
threat. Oh, always. I mean, Hideki knows how to win once he's in contention. He'll go and take it at any tournament. Obviously, if he gets himself there, he can get it done. But I would preferably, just for my own interest, probably like to see him stay a bit quiet this week, just so he like not too many people start talking about him for next week. Because I feel like Hideki's one of those guys that when like a lot of people are talking about him, he's generally not performing how everybody expects. But once he's into a little bit of like a lull, people stop talking about him, then he comes out of nowhere and wins a big one. So I'm hoping it could stay a bit quiet for him and not hopefully he plays well, but he's not in complete contention, so he like sort of wastes that mental energy and he's obviously fresh for next week. But obviously, like you said, he's a great player, and if he is playing well this week, he can definitely go and get it.
yeah, no, that's a good point for sure.
Yeah. But
Akshay defending champ, right? He's plus
yeah,
2,500.
exactly.
I'm not sure if I'm interested in him in the outright market this week or,
I
at
know.
least at these odds, but he's a threat always and he's striping the ball this year. I mean, he's really
He's
striking the ball.
he's been very consistent, I feel like, just like throughout the bag, like not having any big blow up weeks per se. Like he did he where was he contending this year?
He contended in the
I
Florida
don't know.
swing.
I know, I'm forgetting for some reason. I know he contended recently, but I've whatever. I feel like he's been playing pretty well all year, but yeah, I don't know if he's going to go back to back at this tournament, but still wouldn't, shock me to see his name at the top of the board at the end of the week. But
100%. Let me pull it up.
on my end, just for a couple guys that did stand out to me, I thought Speed stood out a little bit at 22 to 1. I would prefer the number be a little bit higher just for how he just how erratic his game can be, just like so up and down. But I do think he's definitely playing better. Obviously, still maybe getting over some mental stuff with like the wrists and everything like that. But he's obviously a very good player in Texas. I saw there was a stat that he's the first in shots gained over the last 4 years in Texas courses. So that definitely goes for him. He's from Texas, obviously. I definitely do have some interest, so I just am a bit hesitant because of the number per se. And then one other guy as well that's been playing well pretty much all year is Keegan at 25 to 1. Again, I'd prefer to see Keegan more in like the 30, 40 range, but I still think that in this field, no Scotty, no Rory, really no like top dog per se. I think he's definitely a threat possibly this week to go and win it.
Yeah, he's another solid wind player too. He knows how
Yeah.
to control the ball flight. He knows how to putt well in the wind. So yeah, I mean, Keegan, and if he can pull off a win this year at some point, I mean, he would be a lock for
Well,
the
but
Ryder Cup
yeah,
if he
I
wasn't the
know.
captain for a pick. But he could automatically qualify if he plays well in a couple majors.
Exactly. I feel like that's the only chance he will give himself for getting on the team because I just don't think he'll end up picking himself with everything that he said thus far.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
Akshay was in contention at the Players.
Players, yeah, that okay. Yep, exactly.
Yeah. He
And
missed some
he, oh
short
my
putts.
God, yeah, oh my, he missed so many putts on the back nine
Yeah.
after the delay. Oh my God.
Yep.
Remember, he was hitting dart after dart, and all he needed to do was make, I think, one of the putts to get into the playoff. Like literally like one
Yeah.
out of like 16 he three jacked, 17 he had a decent look, 18 he had 7 feet. I mean, yeah, Jesus. He really is striking it well. It's still, maybe sometimes the putter will disappear from time to time, but overall, I mean, he's obviously become a much better putter in terms of like comparing when he didn't have the broomstick to like, ever since he got onto this broomstick wave.
Yeah. Definitely more solid. It's not like he's not an elite putter, right?
No,
But he's an
not at
elite
all.
ball striker. So
Very elite.
if he was an elite putter, he'd be number one in the world probably. So,
Probably. But
but let's go to down the board a little bit.
yeah, down the board some. So starting with the 40 range. So we got Tony Finau 40 to 1, Keith Mitchell 45 to 1, Tom Kim 45 to 1, Maverick McNeely 50 to 1, Burns 50 to 1 who, doesn't really know how to strike an iron. So that's just he's disgusting right now. Then you got Stevens 55 to 1, Sam Stevens 55 to 1, Bud Cauley all the way down to 55 to 1. Woodland all the way down to 55 to 1 as well. Ben Griffin 55 to 1. A lot of JT Poston 55 to 1. Then you got Harry Hall 60 to 1.
Yeah, so I do like a few names on this list.
Yeah.
This is a week again. There's a lot of good stories that come out of this week. So Bud Cauley is a name I'm interested in, right? 55 to 1. He's playing some phenomenal golf.
Yep.
He flights his golf ball beautifully. He'll be able to play in the wind. And it's really just a matter of time for him where he's getting these reps in, getting all the competitive rust off right from being out for 3.5 years.
Mhm.
And I think he'll continue to give himself good opportunities.
So
So
he was out that long because of his injury, just no golf.
yeah, no golf. He got into a massive car accident,
Oh,
and
Jesus.
he didn't. There was a good chance they said he was never going to play golf again.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
he was out for a long, long time. He was. I'm sure you've seen JT's roommate right in
Yeah.
college,
Yeah.
and then we got Gary Woodland, 55 to 1. I know he's coming off a good week last week, right? So I'm sure he'll be a popular play this week.
Yeah.
I don't care. He's a guy. He's a guy that I love to root for. When he's playing well, he's a streaky type of player. So
Yeah.
he can go through these sorts of patches where he's going to continue to give himself chances. So I got Bud Cauley and Gary Woodland on my card this week, 55 to 1.
Yeah.
Just would be two great stories if one of them were to break through and get a win.
Be beautiful.
Another interesting name, right? Ben Griffin. He just missed out on the Masters by like point 0.1 world
I
ranking
s
points
over Michael Kim, right? I
over
saw
Michael
there was a thing
Kim.
if he made like a 7 footer on I think his 17th hole of the day, then he would have been in instead of Kim. I mean,
Yeah,
that's
oh, it's one
so crazy.
stroke. Yeah.
So crazy.
So that sucks. I mean, he literally missed out by one stroke out of the last season to get into Augusta. So he would be a guy, right, winning in, obviously.
He's
I
just
don't,
such a second place merchant.
yeah, right. I mean, he's a great top 20 play week
Oh,
after week.
great. Yeah, it really is.
But yeah, that's a guy. I'm not going to put him on the card, but it would be another good
Good
story to see
story.
him win.
Yeah, I agree. And then just for that range on mine, so I sort of like the guys you were talking about as well. Cauley's definitely been playing well the past, I guess, like 2+ months at this point. It seems like every time he's in a tournament, he's up there, the top, 15, 10 of the leaderboard. So he definitely interested me as well for the week. And then a little bit lower than him, Tom Kim is 45-1.
Oh,
I'm not sure what happened to Tom Kim putting. I mean, he literally has forgotten how to putt it, and it seems like he's just so mental standing over that golf ball right now and just doesn't trust his stroke at all. But on the other hand, it feels like he's still striking the ball as well as he, has the last couple of years since he's been on tour. So doesn't seem like, it's affecting his full game, at least at this point. And hopefully it's a matter of time before he turns around the putting instead of maybe the other way around where it starts affecting his, approach game because he's just so bothered that he can't make a putt. But I think again, this field, no Rory, no Scottie, 45-1 for a player that's won a couple times on tour. That is a number that interests me as well.
yeah, that's similar to like your Hovland pick, right? You're going based off his how well
Yeah.
he's striking the ball, and it's just a matter of time before he gets his short game in check. Because I don't think his chipping's been very good either.
No, it's just been, the short. I think it's a short game as a whole. And it's just like, I feel like it's got to be all mental because if I'm remembering correctly, I mean, he's somewhat of a good putter usually. Like he
Oh
could roll
yeah.
the ball. Yeah.
Oh well, when he first came on tour, he was a
He's
phenomenal.
making everything.
Yeah. And that's, I think a lot of it, that slow play stuff, he's tried to change his routine over the last month or so. And maybe that's playing a factor in the short game, right? He just can't get comfortable. And then you start thinking about that stuff like, oh, I got to
Oh,
pull the trigger. I got to do this. I got to do that.
yeah.
And it gets ugly pretty quick. I've been there, right? I used to get stuck over the golf ball.
Used to look up about 25 times.
It's the worst. It's literally the worst feeling in the world. You feel trapped.
I know.
Yeah, his putting is 156th.
Jesus Christ. What's his numbers for approach overall for the year? You have that too?
Seventh.
Yeah, I mean he's striping the ball. He just literally, and I'm sure with how good he's hitting it, the numbers probably look a bit worse than they should be just because, he's closer than most people and he's just not converting those at the rate that he needs to. But yeah, it's something going on with that putter. But yeah, like you said, it is a bit like the Hovland pick, more so going off with like how he's been striking it and just hoping at a certain point that that putter can click for him. And if it does this week, obviously, he's a player that not afraid to win on a Sunday again.
Yep. His and then his around the green is 136. So yeah, his short game just has not been, what he's accustomed to by any means.
No, yeah. And obviously this is a big week figuring it out before Augusta, where with that the around the green there, I mean, if he's not figured it out something this week, then next week might not be too pretty every time he doesn't get a green in regulation.
No, because that's, your irons are off by an inch. Your ball can end up 40 yards away from the hole
Yep.
and
And then
tight
you got to
lie.
be perfect with the chip too. It's like you got to get
Yeah.
to the right elevation. There's just a lot to be done there, and if he doesn't figure it out this week, I'm sure be a lot of doubt heading into next week.
Yeah. So outrights, I got Cantley, Cauley, and Woodland. Those are my three plays this week.
Yeah.
What are your official plays?
So my three plays for the week. So obviously we went over them a little bit, but I got Spieth at a 22-1. Couple quick things about why I sort of just went this route with him. Looked up a couple of the numbers here. So he gained 7.7 approach at the Valspar, his most recent start. So I think that's definitely a good sign. Usually with Spieth, obviously they talk about how great his short game is. His putting is hit or miss. It's either, he's making his 15, 20 footers, or he's way off and he's missing everyone and he's walking after it zero point 0.1 seconds after hitting it. So hopefully, he's in a good mental space with it, but he's striking the ball very well, it seems like. He also has very good course history. He's tied 10th in 2024, tied 35th in 2022, and then in 2021 he won here. So obviously, pretty good course history having a win. And then, like I said earlier, he's first in shots gained total over the last 4 years in Texas. So I think home course advantage for him somewhat there. Then we got Tom Kim, talked about him before, 45-1. Like we said, he's just striking the ball great. He gained 3.6 on approach at the Valspar, gained 9.9 at the Players, which was first in the field. And yeah, plus putting has been an issue, but if he can figure that out and he keeps striking it like this, I mean, he's probably should be much lower on the odds board. Just obviously his putting and his short game's been holding him back. And again, you got my last guy, three guys like you. I got Ryan Gerard, your guy from last week. He's 80-1. And I mean, pretty similar to things to what we said last week. He's just striking the ball so well. Last week at the Houston Open, he gained 7.7 on approach. The week before that at the Valspar, he gained 4.5. And then on the year, he's top 30 in both shots gained putting and on approach. So I mean, I think just his game as a whole is where it needs to be to win. It's probably just, building up that confidence in himself going against some of these bigger names to really go ahead and close it out on a weekend. But I think all three of those guys playing pretty well. Just a matter of like a couple things clicking in their game. But I like all three of those guys this week.
Yeah, I think Gerard, if he did get into Augusta in future years, he's a good fit there because he hits that tight draw.
Yeah,
He's an absolute ball striker. It's a course that you're going to have to, usually you got to get some reps in unless you're Ludwig
of
Oberg,
course.
where, you
Yeah,
come in second in your first Masters.
yeah,
But he's a guy that I think would be a good course fit at Augusta. All right, and then let's talk through top 20s. So
yeah.
I got Tom Hogue again, plus 330. He won me at the Players, right? He was like 7-1. He's a ball striker, right? I think he's got decent history here, a couple top 20s in his few times playing.
If his irons are on, he's so dialed.
Yeah, and his putting has been better.
Hmm.
He's not a great chipper of the ball. He's a solid driver, but a great iron player and a solid putter.
Hmm.
So I see him putting together four solid rounds, right? Maybe not
Yeah.
getting himself fully into contention.
We don't need that though.
No. My next one, Max McGreevy. It's a guy that's been playing solid golf, right? He's
Hmm.
really very, very consistent. Last week, I don't think he had a great second round, which I kind of like, right? A miscut last week. He's coming for revenge this week.
Yeah,
He's working his way up the world rankings very quickly this year, playing solid in the FedEx.
yeah,
And these are the events that really matter a lot to these guys to get him into the next elevated event.
big time.
All right,
He's
and my
probably up there in that real quick in that like Aeon, whatever, the swing
yeah,
five, or I think he in the Florida swing. I remember seeing his name almost every event, it felt like.
yeah, no, he's down. I'm sure he is up there. And then my last top 20 is Isaiah Salinda. The wind scares me a little bit just because his strength is ball striking and has a high ball flight. I don't know how he is at controlling that ball flight and keeping it under the wind and playing, some chippy shots. But I think top 20 at plus 360 with the way he's been playing. Those are three solid odds right there. So we got Tom Hogue plus 330, McGreevy plus 360, and Isaiah Salinda plus 360, all for top 20s this week.
Beautiful. I love that. And all above plus 300. So some nice juice on those.
Yep.
So I got three guys as well. So one guy that you went with outright, you went with Cauley outright, right?
Yep.
Yeah, so I got Bud Cauley plus 220. All the things you said, striking the ball great, pretty much all year at this point. Would be a really good story to actually see him get into contention and win. But I think with just how much he's been in the top 20 all year to get it still at plus 220 at this point, pretty solid number there. Then I got Charlie Hoffman plus 280. I mean, this is just more so, this is one of Charlie's courses, and it seems like if it's one of his courses, he's going to play well there every single year. So I'm gonna take that number and just hopefully see him continue that trend of playing well at the Valero. And then McNeely, I got a Maverick McNeely plus 200. So I tracked him a little bit because he was playing with Rory in the first 2 days. I think he's playing, pretty well. Like he hit his irons pretty well last week. He gained over three on approach, but he didn't really putt, well. And that's usually Maverick's thing. He's a very good putter. So again, I'm hoping that he can just continue to strike the ball pretty well and find something on the greens. And I think for a player of his caliber, getting a plus 200 odds on a top 20 the week before, the biggest major of the year, it's pretty solid number. So I like all three of those. Bud Cauley plus 220, Charlie Hoffman plus 280, and then Maverick McNeely plus 200 for top 20.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good stuff. And one guy we didn't talk about who we've spoken about the last few weeks, where, just thinking about everything we've spoken about with the course, the wind, Jake Knapp, right? I mean,
Yeah.
it's going to be his time soon, I think, to break through at one of these bigger
That's
events.
true. He's not in the Masters either, too, like you said.
Yeah, so this is his last chance to get in, right? He's plus 7,000.
It is a
Um,
good number.
it's a good number, right? I mean, he's been extremely consistent. He seems to give himself opportunities week in and week out, and he
Yeah.
knows how to flight his golf ball, right? He hits a Gary
I
Woodland
feel like that's all
favorite.
he does. I
Yeah.
feel like he only hits flighted shots. Like there's never a real full swing in there.
No, I agree. He really does not very often just take a full swing at the ball.
That is true. I mean, I do like that number. I didn't even think in that just because I've been on him a decent amount. And you had him top 20 last week, and he sort of fucked us over with the poor final round, finishing one shot outside of that. But yeah, I mean, he could be a good play. It might be it honestly might be a late ad now that you mentioned it. But yeah, I think 71 for anybody that it would is interested in that. But I definitely think that's a good number this week.
100%. I mean,
Yeah.
I really don't understand how they make some of these odd boards. Like I know Sam Stevens played well, right? He came second at
And
that
he
was
came second here to
Rory.
Corey Connors a couple years ago too, I
Oh,
think.
did he?
Yeah, he's played
Okay,
well here in the past, so I think that's probably baked into it a little as well. But
definitely.
55 to 1 was just too low for Sam Stevens.
Yeah, right. I mean, Ben Griffin again, a solid player, but he hasn't given himself chances like Jake Knapp does.
No, yeah, Knapp does get pretty consistently disrespected on the boards.
He does. They don't. I guess they don't really believe in him yet.
No, and they probably want to take that action because they don't think he's going to close on. They want to give us a good number, so we donate our money, and then he doesn't close on Sunday. It's probably the thought process.
100%. All right, so I think that's all right for the Valero. Anything else you
Yeah.
wanted to add in there?
No, I think if I'm gonna pick one of my guys who I think is actually gonna go ahead and pull it out this week, I uh I think it's Tom Kim's week. I think he figures out the putting. I think he goes out, pulls out a win to get his confidence going. And I don't really know what that means for Augusta for him, but I think it might be Tom Kim's week this week.
Yeah, 100%. Looking at the tee times, last week I think I also hit the early bird three ball lay.
Let's give out the early bird three ball A.
This one, so they don't have the odds posted yet. This might have to be a three-way lay because these guys probably won't have great odds. We got Eric Cole, who's coming off a good week playing with Padraig and Mark Hubbard. If I had to guess, he'll be like plus 125.
Yeah, around there, I was gonna say.
And then we got Bud Cauley playing with Chad Ramey and Ben Silverman, who probably will be similar. Ben Silverman's a guy, another guy I used to play with on the minor league tour. Don't like betting against him, but you got to do what you got to do.
All right, yeah.
So we got Cauley, Eric Cole, and then lastly, let's see here. I want to take Cam so bad.
I know. I really hope he does find something. I know he hasn't been nice, but I really like I just don't understand how a player can fall off so steeply and really like show no signs of getting back on track. Like I you see all these guys, it seems like everybody battles when they're in these spots of playing like shit, and then you just see like they show all these guys on the range after every round, and it seems I mean they might just not show Cam because he's Cam Young, but it just doesn't feel like he's putting in like that extra work. But again, obviously, I have no idea what he's actually doing, but it
No,
just
it's
doesn't feel
true.
like he gives a fuck. It just based on why like after the AirPod thing, I thought he would never do something like that again, and then he freaking came to the a tee at the I think it might have been the Valspar with the groove cleaner still attached to his hip.
Yeah, he's shot.
And he's just like mentally in a fog.
Yeah, no, 100%. All right, so the early bird lay will be Eric Cole, Bud Cauley, and the last one, Alex Smalley. Smalley's playing with Kazire and Camilo Viegas.
I
So
love
they'll
it.
all probably be around even money, maybe a little plus. So you should get those odds like plus 7 or 800 when you
And
put it
we'll
away.
post it once the odds come out. We'll post like just like a slip of it.
Yeah, 100%. I'm very proud of you for not talking about Pot Geeter. That's good stuff.
Yeah, not this week. He did like I've never seen somebody putt it so poorly in a single PGA Tour round like he did in round two last week. I mean, I thought he should have shot 7 under and he shot two over.
Yeah,
Like
I mean, the
it
course
was
was made
absurd.
for him too. I mean, he's similar to Min Woo in terms of off the tee, but his short game is nowhere close to Min Woo's.
It was just the putt. Like, it wasn't like the chipping. Obviously, he sucks at chipping for the most part, but it wasn't even like that was the issue. He literally just couldn't like. He missed, I think, 7 or 8 putts inside of 5 feet in round two, like half his holes. Like it was absurd.
All right, so next week, Augusta. It's very exciting. We'll be down in South Carolina next week at our grandma's house. We're gonna be playing some golf, so we're gonna start getting some videos out. play a hole with us or whatever the people do on Instagram. We're gonna try and get that stuff out, try and grow the brand a little bit. If anybody has any interest in playing a little 2v2 match against us in the near future, we'll be happy to travel and make that happen. It's all about the content nowadays. So we're gonna be all in on this stuff. But next week, Augusta, it's really shaping up to be hopefully a great Masters. We got a decent amount of guys playing solid. I mean, Rory's probably in the best form, right? Scottie.
Rory's down to
Xander.
plus 650.
Wow. Yeah, Xander is I'm sure he's gonna somehow step his game up. I don't like where his chipping is at right now.
That's what I mean. It's a short game. Yep.
Yeah, the short game's still not what he would like it to be. You got Ludwig, right? Ludwig is a machine.
Yep.
We'll be able to see this week where his game is at. No reason to assume it's not what it's been since he came on tour, which is just machine-like, right? I mean,
I
he's
know.
gonna give himself chances. It's gonna come down to making those putts. He's
Hmm.
a decent chipper, right? Not a great chipper. And then we
Yes.
got, guys that should give themselves an outside chance. I do like Hideki, right? Hideki next week. Um, Again, like you said, really no matter what happens this week, still like his chances next week, right? Whether he's misses the
Yeah.
cut or he gets himself into
Yeah.
contention.
I would love a miscut, to be honest. I would love it.
Yeah, when he steps onto that ground, it just something
Yeah.
clicks. But
Like last year, he was there's so many people talking about him last year, and I think didn't he miss the cut last year at the Masters?
he might have. I honestly don't know.
I think he did.
Wouldn't be surprised.
I'm interested to see how the live guys play, like like how like Brooks games looks in Miami this week. I know, I mean, not just
That's
in
a
terms of
tough
how.
golf course. So it's a good course
I
to
know
get
exactly, and it's
into.
supposed to be windy there. Like I saw a post that it's supposed to be pretty gusty there all weekend.
Yeah, so that's their one or not one, but one of the few good tests they have out there. Most of the other courses just seem like pretty soft setups for professional golf at that level, right? And
Yeah,
pins not tucked, tees up, soft conditions always.
yeah.
But it's exciting. Augusta is the best week of the year for golfers. Wish they had ESPN Plus going from early in the morning. You only get
Did
the
you see the schedule they put out?
Yeah, but the featured group start at 9:15.
That's stupid.
And there's
I saw
only
the
and they
weekend was a good.
only show the featured groups. They don't show like if the
I
leader is in
know.
a different group or whatever.
I saw the weekend was like a good schedule. I think like 10 straight hours of it or 9 straight
Yeah,
hours.
which is what the people need. I mean, that's why the British Open is the best because they literally show every single
All
shot
day.
on
It's
TV.
amazing. But the Masters you sent it to me. They're gonna have the like all the stats from the range, like their ball speed, how
Yeah,
far, apex. That's gonna be sick. That's my
that's for the real
heaven.
sickos. Yeah.
That's my heaven.
Mhm. But Tiger unfortunately won't be there, right? As you can see, I do like Tiger just a little bit. He won't be there, but he will be with his new girlfriend, so that's good. He'll be happy, I'm sure. We're gonna respect his privacy, but we're still gonna talk about it. All right.
Yeah, I need to be figure out how to fill out an application to be the one that took that photo.
Mm, you want credit on that?
It just looks. Who's close enough with Tiger to have them sitting in a hammock
Mm,
under them, just take a photo. I mean, that was amazing.
it's probably Joe LaCava. All right. Anything else that you wanted to talk about this week?
No,
Obviously, we're coming off back-to-back, right? Winners. We've got four plus 500 or more top 20s in the last 3 weeks, right? So I think our thought process is in the right spot, especially
yeah,
now we're starting to understand the stats more, look deeper into how the course matches up with players, right? This week is a little bit tougher in my opinion, just
yeah,
because you don't know what these guys are focusing on, like you were saying before we started. Is it
yeah.
Augusta? Is it now? More for the guys that aren't in Augusta, they're playing their hearts out this week, right? So
Everything.
that's
Yep.
yeah, that's those are the guys that I think really we can focus on in terms of the betting markets.
Yeah. Well, even though I have Tom Kim and Spieth, will you know, hopefully they'll be okay. But yeah, I would love to see like a
Tom Kim needs momentum though.
that's why he needs but I would really love to see like a Cauley win, like you were saying, or a Woodland. I mean, that would truly be like a life-changing win in terms of obviously, the following week, but also just like getting back into those elevated and really setting themselves up to maybe have another, couple really good years on tour.
100%. Yes,
Yeah.
we might add Jake Knapp in, but other than that, I think, those are our plays, right? We'll
Yeah.
get everything posted onto Instagram.
And we'll have maybe a couple shows next week. We might do one on like Monday, and then we're gonna be down, like you said, in South Carolina by Wednesday. So maybe like a quick like night before one, any new information about maybe weather, stuff like that. Just try to really cover all the bases for that week, but just try to give a as much info as possible, whether that be multiple shows or one longer one before before the biggest event of the year.
Yeah. FanDuel has to miss the cut this week odds. We got
Wow.
Tony Finau plus 178. The guy's the yips right now. He's
You
trying
saw that?
he's trying cross-handed. It looks like he's like choking
He's
a
holding a baseball bat. That's what
yeah.
it's like he's holding a fucking baseball bat. I don't know what
Yeah,
he's doing.
it's ugly. You got Siwoo Kim who's not playing great at all. He's plus 200 to miss the cut. So those odds are somewhat interesting. And then, you got make the cut odds as well. But that's all for episode 5 of Brothers on the Green. We appreciate all the support. We're gonna get this posted onto our socials. PGA Tour Dice will post the odds. We'll share it. We'll do the same song and dance. And then starting next week, we're gonna try and do some different forms of content, right? See what we have the ability to do. Try and get a little bit creative and then go from there.
Yeah, beautiful. But yeah, let's get another winner. Stay hot heading into the Masters, and obviously soak up everything that we get the in next week with Augusta.
Yes, sir.
All right, beautiful.